Hey guys, welcome to part two of my series of how to make six figures as a project manager without a PMP certification. So, in part two, we're going to focus on talking about looking for a job and how do you get started in looking for a job. And really, this may sound simple, but these are kind of the tricks of the trade per se that you will need to think about and really home in on how to stand out amongst other applicants. So the first thing that we want to talk about is getting your resume ready, right? So when you start applying for jobs, you have to have a resume, and making sure that it has all of the, I would say, buzzwords that draws the attention of the people who are seeking, looking for people for a position, right? The companies that you're applying to. So you want to make sure that you understand what are the key buzzwords that are related to the position that you're applying for. So when you get started really looking for a project management position, you want to make sure you include all of the project management language. And I say language, everything that you have studied, learned in your boot camp, in your classes, in, any type of material that you've read, any type of your YouTube video, anything of that nature, right? That you understand the language of how to speak project management, and making sure you include all of those words, keywords, where it talks about a lot of the stuff that we focused on in series 1, right? And kind of the key knowledge area. So we want to make sure that you write your resume that speaks to the fact that you understand how project management is done, right? From a methodology perspective. You also want to make sure you incorporate like any type of classes that you've taken over the years, any type of little certifications, large certifications, things of that nature, right? Anything that you have done that have prepared you for project management, the project management industry, anything that you have studied, all of those things, right? Put them into your resume and capture that information. That will trigger and make your resume stand out, trigger the attention of people that make your resume stand out amongst others. So you want to talk about that. You want to talk about your experiences. If you've had like part-time positions or any positions that you have held in corporate America or any job, or if you've done solo, right? If you've done private work for companies or for anything personal, include that into your resume as well. Whether if you have any type of knowledge of how to successfully run a project, you want to make sure you include that. So include all of your experience, no matter how small, how large, right? So if you had any personal projects that you've done, include those as well. And so the next thing you want to do is definitely, if you have no experience, build your experience, right? Listen to series 1, start doing the things, start studying, start taking classes, start, asking your company, hey, I want to get into this industry. These are the classes that you guys offer. Can I take these classes, right? Can I get an opportunity to take advantage of these courses, right? So definitely focus on that if you have zero experience in project management and you want to get into the industry. So that is kind of like the first thing. The next thing I kind of want to talk about, and I'm going to break this section up into a second part, but I'm going to begin talking about it now, kind of kicking it off, is where do you go, right? Everybody's kind of thinks, hey, I have to look for a full-time position with a Fortune 500 company and that's already paying six figures. How do I go about getting myself to that level where I can be considered for these roles and considered for these jobs? I would recommend applying and getting staffed by a staffing agency, right? A temp to perm staffing agency. They are very good for growing your experience and giving you the opportunity for small stints of jobs where you can get your feet wet. You can learn, you can say, hey, okay, I'm seeing how things are done for a short period of time. Then I'm going to go to something maybe a little bit different and kind of, dibble and dabble into different areas. And that helps grow your knowledge, right? And so you're not stuck in one style of a position or style of job where you aren't expanding your knowledge in a quicker perspective. I think sometimes when you get a full-time position, you're in that role for at least a year or so before you have an opportunity to either move up in the company or move to another position. When you are when you work for a staffing agency, a lot of those positions and those roles are like for 3 months, 6 months, and then that gives you the opportunity to get familiar with those types of jobs and positions and kind of move about and build your resume, right? So what you want to do too is build your resume with experience, right? You want to talk about, I did this style of project management for 3 months. I did this style. I did that style. I had this opportunity. I worked on this project, here and there. And you're with a company, but you're with a staffing agency that gives you that ability to move about and do different things. So that's my advice, right? So I think that's the one we're going to talk about a little bit more and get a little bit more details on that. I have some points I kind of want to touch on related to that, but yeah, I think that's the beginning phase. So stay tuned for the next video and we'll get more into talking about how do we get engaged with like the staffing agencies and things that we can do to build up our experience and get to that point where we are working a full-time position for a large corporation and making six figures and really doing the work of project manager and feeling comfortable in that role. So stay tuned for the next video and I'll see you soon. Bye.